These are the trades I took on the 24th of September for GU, and I ended the day with minus 2%, which is annoying because I had, I was correct in 2 of the directions, yet I was not able to profit from them, and I was half correct on the third one, but I kind of did not anticipate price. Yeah, whatever, let's just get into it. So going into the day, I was watching this gap on the weekly time frame and watching the 50% level of that gap. What I didn't realize was there was a monthly time frame order blocks consequent encroachment right above that, and I was also watching the second bearish gap above this gap, and ideally I wanted to take a short at that gap rather than the 50% of this level. However, given the time, at the certain time when manipulation happens, I will look for trades at these levels, especially on the weekly time frames, consequent encroachment of the first gap. So anyway, let's just get into it. So yeah, this was Monday. This is how price closed. I was bullish going into Tuesday, and I was watching. Let's just go. So as price opened on London session, during London session, I was watching this. This was before my entry time, so before 7 a.m. UK time, 2 a.m. New York time. We had SMT with EU. We took out previous day's high, especially above this consolidation, at that 50% off that weekly time frame fair value gaps or gaps consequent encroachment, and then we displaced lower. And I was predicting price to come down to these lows and find support, and just above that 240 fair value gap. We've got the 240 fair value gap right there as well, right? And price comes into that level after taking out highs, which is good sign because it's just trapping all these buyers and selling off, and then comes into this low, trapping sellers. And I took an entry right here. This is a kind of a pattern that I normally look for, and then I took an entry here. I had my stops down here, and I was happy to take my targets off 1 to 1, 1.5 to 1. And then I decided to close my trade as this candle printed, and price rejected this high. Why? I don't know, because I saw this sharp move down, which normally for me means it's a good move, and I was predicting maybe price will pull deeper into this range, and because of that I exited that trade early, and then we had the move up. What was even better was that we displaced up after with fair value gaps, right? And then price comes into that fair value gap, holds that 50%, and then displaces up again, and then continues higher. For my next trade, I was watching this. I saw price consolidate right there, accumulation, and then close up with this sharp bullish candle, and then price put in this doji candle, and I was anticipating maybe price will come down to take these lows and then push up. Because it was Tuesday, I was bullish for the week, and usually on Monday or Tuesday price pulls back and then pushes up. We got that pullback maybe on Monday then, and then price displaced up with a strong bullish candle, leaving rejecting the lows of previous day and then displacing up. I was also watching this channel right here on the 60-minute that was forming. Although price closed above it, it is still in a good location at a good time, especially after these consolidations, and also at the 50% off that gap. The only thing I would say about that gap is, although I was predicting price to come to that weekly time frame fair value gap, we had that order blocks consequent encroachment right there as well, which was drawing price towards it, and that's something I completely ignored. And going into the day, yeah, I shorted here mainly because it was after London session, before New York open, which is peak manipulation time for me, especially if in a trend price usually tends to pull back around this time. And I got this pattern, which is the 3 peak pattern. A high was made, higher high was made, and then price fails to make a new high, and then price displaced lower with a fair value gap right here, and that should have been my entry, but I didn't get entry there. I got an entry somewhere around here, which made it less rewarding, and I had my stops at 93. I've taken this kind of pattern a few times already, and one thing I've noticed is my stops doesn't need to be that high. When it's like that, it doesn't need to be that high. If I'm taking a target at this fair value gap, my stops can be 10 pips is more than enough, and that allows me to take targets off early But because yesterday I got into the trade late, my stops were quite high. I didn't really want to take targets early, and completely ignored the fact that we also had a bullish fair value gap right there that price can find support at, right above these resistance zone. And then lo and behold, price comes down, holds that fair value gap with this pin bar, and then we get that, you know, displacement up afterwards. And then price continues higher. So yeah, with this three peak kind of trade, so yeah, we had, you know, the third test, displacement, fair value gap. And again, if I wanted to wait for another confirmation, just price displacing lower after making, you know, rejecting that fair value gap, and then I can trade on the pullback, you know, right there. And because of that, stop really does not really need to be that high. It can be above these highs, and targets can be, you know, at 50% of that 60-minute fair value gap, which allows me to, if I really wanted to, take target ones off and then move my stops to break even. But yeah, because I had my stops at 93 and my entry was slightly delayed, I didn't want to take targets off around here. So I placed my targets down there, and then I went to make lunch, and then I saw this move rejecting the 60-minute fair value gap, and then realized, you know, maybe we are still bullish. But hindsight, of course. Price cleared this fair value gap, right? After I took a short and then pushed up, and then left another fair value gap right there, which I did not even see going into the next session. The monthly order block was some consequent encroachment, was something that was drawing price. It's hindsight, but it's what it was looking back at it now. And also, like I was saying, I wanted price to tap into the weekly time frame fair value gap, the second one, rather than the first one, which is to me is the stronger point of interest, and is something that price attracts to in comparison to just the first one, especially when there's two in a row. And then I see New York London close. We make a low, price pushes up, and I was very patient. You know, I wanted to go long along the way somewhere here. However, I told myself, wait for a low to be made, and then wait for that low to be taken out, and then enter after that low has been taken out, and that price low has been taken out, and I enter somewhere here, and then I put my stops right below this low somewhere, and lo and behold, we come down, take out that 60-minute fair value gap, and then we start to displace up again. Early entry, patience. I was patient. I waited. Had I seen the 60-minute fair value gap, I would have been slightly more reserved here. I would have waited at least for price to pull down, or at least even if I'd entered there, I would have placed my stops lower, you know, and taken a 1-to-1 target. That would have been more than enough for me. But yeah, that's what it is. Annoying thing, you know, bullish going into the week. Monday and Tuesday. Monday, strong bullish candle that takes out Friday's low. That's something to note, right? We took out Friday low before going up with a strong pin bar. Came into a point of interest on Tuesday evening, or Tuesday close, at that monthly time for order blocks consequent encroachment. So bullish for the week. We had bullish day Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday we ended up with this strong bearish engulfing candle that rejected that monthly order blocks consequent encroachment. So that's held that 2 days in a row. So potentially next day bullish, bearish going into tomorrow, because how strongly price rejected, you know, that order block. We had this essentially a market structure shift, right, head and shoulder. Price pulled back, because going into Wednesday I was quite bullish, because I was just bullish for the week, because, you know, price doesn't reverse until Thursday in my head. So that's something I need to unpack and remember, that, you know, if so bullish Monday, Tuesday, coming into higher time frame, strong POI with such strong displacement on 240 and 60, then I shouldn't really be focusing too much on just bullish trades on Wednesday. Because I was bullish on Wednesday, after price rejected this order block, you know, this displacement lower, closing below these swings, essentially putting a head and shoulder, price came into this second fair value gap on this swing high, on this swing, bullish swing on the 60-minute time frame, and, you know, it pushed through it, And as this candle was printing, I took a long, and I exited the trade straight away with like 0.2% loss, because I saw, because of these candles, it's not something I want to be going long against. And in the back of my head, I was also thinking we just rejected a POI, and it's not really something I want to take entries in such a premium. At least wait for price to come into some kind of a discount and then look for entry. And yeah, that was just a small loss. So those are the trades I've taken for pound dollar so far this week. Not the best week so far. On Friday, I took another trade on pound dollar, which was a loss. I was anticipating or predicting price to come up to this buy side liquidity on the daily time frame, which happens to be just below a daily time frame and weekly time frame fair value gap. That came after price rejected this daily time frame order block, consequent encroachment on Friday London session, and then started to displace up. We had this bullish fair value gap that held and then pushed up, and then after I saw this bullish candle, I took an entry on the pullback at around 50% and predicting price to reach up to this high with my stops. It was just below this low, and this was 8 o'clock US time, so that's around 1 o'clock UK time, on a Friday, maybe quite late. And then price pulled back. We didn't reject that monthly time frame order blocks consequent encroachment, and that gave me a bit more confidence that price might pull back, hold this, and then at least push up to this high where I was looking to take some profits. But then price pulls back and just continues lower. And then it continues lower all the way down back into that order blocks consequent encroachment, which price came and it looks like it's held even on the 1 hour time frame at the moment. So yeah, so going into the week, I was bullish, especially after seeing this strong bullish candle on last week, and my prediction was that price will come into at least the consequent encroachment of that monthly time frame order block, which happens to be just below this weekly time frame gap. Well, I was predicting first of all this gap to hold, which price started to close above, and after seeing that close, I was predicting price to come up to the second gap, and the second gap also happens to be below some liquidity level on daily time frame, below this strong fair value gap. So going into Friday, after seeing the way price react on Thursday, I was predicting price may probably tap into that daily time frame fair value gap. So on Friday, when price pulled back into this Wednesday's order block on the daily time frame and held with a strong bullish candle, to me that was a good sign to go long. I'm not sure if so yeah, pulls back, holds that order blocks 50%, and then puts in a strong bullish displacement. We also had this fair value gap that price put in. It would have been good to just go long at this level as price pulls back into that fair value gap during 12 o'clock UK time and 1 o'clock UK time. Half one around this time is when price finds the most manipulation I've seen anyway, and that's exactly what price does. Pulls back, accumulates as well, right? We get this accumulation and then this manipulation, and to me, I was targeting or entering on the distribution phase, which price unfortunately doesn't hit, especially it comes into this 50%, pulls up all the way to this fair value gap on the 15 and the 5 minute, and then holds and displaces lower and comes back into that daily time frame order blocks constant encroachment. So, and it's held it to the T at the moment. It didn't close below, which is a good sign, so I'll be watching that on Monday. But ultimately the trade wasn't a bad trade for me. Going into Monday, I wasn't sure what price was going to do because of the fact that we cleared a clear buy side liquidity right there, on Thursday, and then price pulled back and then it's pushed up again. This is like a double top entry, isn't it, right here? And then I wasn't sure whether price was going to hold, continue higher or continue lower, but because price pulled down, held this order blocks constant encroachment, and then put in a strong bullish candle, to me that was a good sign to go long. Maybe it was Friday evening, almost the last day of the month, We've got one more trading day left going into Q3. Maybe I shouldn't be predicting price to hit this high, not until next week anyway. So going into next week, I will be bullish. But yeah, that's the trade. And that's all the trades for pound dollar this week, which was 2 losses, 2.5, almost 2.5 losses. And yeah, initial prediction played out, anticipating or predicting price to take out these highs. Price opened on Monday with a strong bullish candle, this bullish pin bar. So I was not predicting price to come back down to Monday's low going into Tuesday. And then Tuesday happens. We put in a strong bullish candle. Again, good candle for bullish momentum. Then the next day, maybe there were some opportunities to trade on the lower time frames. On Wednesday, the price pulls in, holds this order block below previous day's low, right? 240 order block right here, which also happens to be below Tuesday's low. But because Wednesday closed with such a strong bearish engulfing candle after rejecting, the order blocks, daily time frame order blocks, constant encroachment, which you can see that's not daily time frame, that's a monthly time frame I'm talking about. Where is it? So yeah, right here, this order block on the monthly time frame, which price rejected on Wednesday and put in this bearish engulfing candle. Honestly, a first rejection of the POI, like monthly time frame order blocks, encroachment, it's likely that price is going to find some resistance at that level, which it does. And then that throws me off because this is such a bullish engulfing candle at a key POI. And for me, that meant potentially price might pull deeper before pushing up. It doesn't. The next day we get a bullish engulfing candle that comes back up and again tests that consequent encroachments again at the weekly high, which should be another indication that maybe price is not going to continue higher yet. And that's one of the main reasons on Friday the trade was not a good trade, because of the fact that my prediction is that it might hit that second fair value gap on the weekly time frame, which also is a daily time frame fair value gap above some swing highs. But because we came into the monthly time frame order blocks constant encroachment, held it once with a strong bullish candle on the daily time frame, pulled back up with another bullish engulfing candle, but failed to close above and held that monthly time frames order blocks consequent encroachment one more time at this week's high, could suggest that maybe that we're not looking to push up to those fair value gaps. Maybe we'll find some pullback and support before we push back up there. So maybe we'll come back down to this low again one more time before pushing up, or we could come into these fair value gaps here on the 4-hour time frame. I delete this bullish inverse fair value gap, would be a good location to look for an entry going into Monday. And that's the trade, and those are all the trades I've taken this week. So 2 losses and almost 2 break evens. Not the best week on any other pairs this week. So yeah, check out the other videos where I've taken multiple losses this week.